Why are you still here? Is it because fear is winning? Unless you reclaim your freedom in the next 10 minutes, it will continue to do so. Picture this: your heart pounding, your chest tightening, and an unrelenting voice in your mind whispers, "You're not enough. You're destined to fail." They'll mock you. This isn't a scene from a thriller. It's your reality, held hostage by fear. But what if I told you that every fear of rejection, uncertainty, or losing control is a falsehood, a mirage your mind constructs to keep you constrained, small, and silent? For years, fear has played the role of jailer in your life. It has stolen your dreams, sabotaged your relationships, and confined you within the suffocating walls of what-ifs. Today, that changes. Over 2,500 years ago, a rebel prince who became a spiritual trailblazer uncovered the secret to conquering fear, not with brute force, but with profound truth. These truths were so powerful that they survived empires, wars, and the chaos of modern civilization. In mere moments, you'll uncover 6 timeless lessons from the wisdom of Buddhist masters. You'll see fear for what it truly is, a glitch in your mind, not a prophecy. You'll learn to rewire your mental framework, erasing doubt like an obsolete program. You'll transform panic into power using a simple 10-second ritual practiced by monks for centuries. This isn't just another self-help mantra. This is a revolution of the mind. By the end, you'll either call this a lie or feel fear's chains crumble, freeing you to live a life where risks become adventures, failure fuels growth, and every no becomes a stepping stone to a resounding yes. And at the conclusion, there's one final profound lesson, something that could redefine everything you've ever believed about fear and overthinking. The clock is ticking. Your fears are listening. Will you let them win? Or will you take back the reins and silence their rule? 1. Fear is but a shadow, weightless and empty. Fear sneaks into your mind like a shadow, silent, creeping, and stretching until it feels overwhelming. But what is a shadow? It has no weight, no form, and no ability to harm. It exists only because something obstructs the light. Fear, too, is a projection, a product of the mind blocking your clarity. Think back to a time when fear stopped you in your tracks. Perhaps you were on the brink of taking a chance, speaking up, embarking on a new journey, or revealing your true feelings. Your heart raced, your mind swirled with doubts, and you hesitated. But ask yourself, what truly held you back? Was it a tangible obstacle, or was it merely a thought, an illusion so vivid that you believed it? Buddhist teachings reveal that fear arises from ignorance, from not seeing reality for what it is. Once, a student asked his teacher, "Master, how can I rid myself of fear?" The teacher smiled and replied, "Bring your fear to me and lay it before my feet." The student paused, perplexed. "I can't," he admitted. "Fear exists only in my mind." The teacher nodded knowingly. If it only exists in your mind, how can it be real? This echoes the words of Hafiz, the Sufi poet, who once wrote, "Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I'd rather see you living in better conditions." Fear convinces you that you are imprisoned in a dark, narrow room. Yet the door has always been open. You've always had the power to walk out. The key? Mindfulness. When fear arises, don't push it away. Observe it. Instead of saying, "I am afraid," so fear is present. This subtle shift creates a space between you and the emotion, loosening fear's grip as you disidentify from it. Now take a deep breath. Think of a fear that has been holding you back. Ask yourself, is this fear based on reality, or is it just another story my mind has concocted? Most often you'll find fear to be no more than a habit, one that loses its strength the moment it's brought into the light. When did fear last deceive you? And what would you do if this shadow disappeared right now? Share your thoughts below. Step into the light of awareness. Remember, fear only triumphs when you fall for its illusion. 2. Be the river, not the rock. Adaptability is freedom. A river does not fight the rocks in its path. It doesn't resist the twists and turns that lie ahead. Instead, it flows, finding its way through, around, and beyond. Over time, the river wears down even the hardest of stones, smoothing them into nothingness. In contrast, a rock resists. A rock remains stuck. It fights the flow and ultimately erodes under the river's steady force. Fear thrives on rigidity. When we resist change, cling to certainty, and strive to control the uncontrollable. But life, like the river, is always in motion. You cannot halt the current of time or freeze moments exactly as you wish them to be. Yet this is where suffering begins, when we cling to fears, unwilling to let go, too afraid to move forward. The Buddha once said, "In the end, only 3 things matter: how deeply you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go." Letting go isn't surrender. It is the act of releasing the illusion of control. Picture someone standing in the middle of a rushing stream, desperately clinging to a boulder, terrified of being swept away. The current pulls at them, sapping their strength with every moment they resist. What if they simply let go? When you embrace the flow, moving with life instead of against it, you find that freedom replaces fear. You no longer need to fight the current. You become one with it. Ask yourself, are you the rock or the river? What if they simply let go? What if they surrendered to the current, trusting that the river already knows the way? Resistance only amplifies suffering. The tighter you cling to fear, the stronger its hold becomes. The harder you try to control the uncontrollable, the deeper you feel imprisoned. Yet when you release resistance, fear begins to dissolve. The next time fear takes hold, don't rush to fight it. Pause. Breathe deeply. Allow yourself to feel the present moment without judgment. Ask yourself, am I resisting or am I flowing? Rather than forcing a solution, let events unfold naturally. Sometimes, the most profound way to overcome fear isn't to confront it head-on, but to flow with it, letting it pass through you like water over stones. What obstacles are you holding on to when you could instead flow around them? Where in your life could you trade rigidity for fluidity today? Comment below. And remember this: you are neither the rock nor the river. You are the awareness that chooses how to move. 3. Embrace imperfect action. A writer stares at a blank page, immobilized by the pressure of perfection. The opening line must be flawless. Every idea must fit perfectly. Every word must shine. But in chasing perfection, nothing is created. The story remains locked away, hidden by the fear of failure. Life often mirrors this struggle. Too many of us wait for ideal conditions to act. We hesitate to pursue a new career, convinced we're not ready. We avoid voicing our thoughts, scared we'll say the wrong thing. We delay chasing dreams, believing we need more skills, time, or certainty. But perfection is an illusion, a trick fear plays to keep us stagnant. Buddhist teachings on the middle way remind us that life is not about flawless execution, but steady progress. Fear thrives in extremes, whispering, if it can't be perfect, don't even try. But nature shows us a different path. Does a tree stop growing because its branches are uneven? Does a river halt its journey because it takes a few missteps? Life grows and evolves imperfectly. Think of an artist sketching a masterpiece. The initial strokes are rough, the lines uncertain. Yet with each layer, the vision takes form. Masterpieces aren't born in a single perfect motion. They're built through missteps, revisions, and growth. A Buddhist monk once said to his student, "If you wait for every light to turn green before starting your journey, you will never leave home." The lesson is simple. Begin before you feel ready. Learn along the way. Trust that progress comes through action, not planning. Challenge yourself today. Write that email without obsessing over every word. Exercise without worrying about your performance. Speak your ideas without fearing judgment. You'll discover that good enough is often more than enough to create momentum. Where in your life are you waiting for perfection before you begin? What good enough step can you take today? Comment below and remember, life is a work in progress. Keep moving, keep creating. Perfection isn't the goal, progress is. The storm and the lighthouse, finding inner stability. A storm brews over the ocean, waves crash violently, winds howl with fury, and the sky darkens in anger. Yet amidst the chaos, a lighthouse stands tall, unshaken, unmoved. It does not battle the storm, nor does it fear its power. It simply shines its light, steady and unwavering, guiding those lost in the darkness. Life is full of storms. The demands of work, unexpected failures, heartbreaking relationships, financial struggles, the weight of uncertainty. These tempests come without warning, shaking the very foundation of your world. In the grip of fear, the mind clings to control, grasping for a sense of security in a world that refuses to be tamed. You try to predict every problem, force every outcome, resist every change. But what if the goal isn't to control the storm, but to embody the lighthouse? The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Many chase peace in external circumstances. They think, "Once I have more money, I'll feel safe." Or, "Once this relationship is fixed, I'll be happy." But storms are inevitable. If your peace depends on the external, fear will always hold the reins. The key is to anchor yourself, not in shifting circumstances, but in something deeper. A monk once illustrated this by shaking a bowl of water until it rippled chaotically. "This," he explained, "is your mind in fear." Then he placed a heavy stone in the bowl. Though the water continued to ripple, the stone remained still. "This," he said, "is what happens when you ground yourself in something unshakable. Your breath can be that anchor. A mantra can be that anchor. A simple daily practice can be that anchor. When fear rises, take a deep breath. Place a hand on your heart. Whisper to yourself, 'I am the lighthouse.' The storm will pass, but I will remain steady." This small ritual creates a space for calm amidst chaos. Fear cannot control what is firmly anchored. Ask yourself, what is my anchor? What keeps me grounded when life's storms rage? Practice this today. Let the storm rage if it must, but let your light shine on. Comment below. What storms are you facing? And how can you become the lighthouse amidst them? Remember, peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's finding your strength within it. This too shall pass. Or choose a mantra like, "I am steady. I am safe." These small but powerful words anchor you, shifting your focus from the storm outside to the calm within. They remind you that no storm lasts forever, and like the lighthouse, you stand firm, shining through the darkness. Today, create your own 10-second stability ritual. When fear or stress arises, pause, breathe deeply, speak your chosen phrase, and feel its truth. Notice how, instead of being swept up by the chaos, you become the observer of it. Fear no longer holds power over you. You stand steady, unshaken. Where do you anchor yourself when chaos strikes? What is your lighthouse in this week's storm? Comment below. And remember, the storm will pass, but you remain. 5. Burn the fuel. A fire cannot rage without fuel. Its flames only persist as long as there is wood, oil, or paper to feed it. Remove the fuel, and the fire extinguishes itself. Fear operates in much the same way. It isn't an unstoppable force. It survives because we nourish it. But what is its fuel? Attachment. The mind clings to control, to specific outcomes, to expectations. When reality doesn't align with these attachments, fear ignites. The Buddha taught, attachment is the root of suffering. Fear is never rooted in the present. It's always tied to an imagined future we can't control. What if I fail? What if they leave me? What if it doesn't work out? These thoughts fan the flames of fear, turning uncertainty into suffering. But what if you stopped feeding the fire? What if you let the fuel burn out? A monk once asked his students to bring an item they deeply cherished. One brought a family heirloom, another, a treasured book, yet another, a handwritten letter. The monk led them to a fire pit and said, "Now, throw them into the fire." The students gasped. "Why?" one asked. The monk smiled. "Because your attachment to these things creates fear, the fear of losing them. But if you can let go, fear loses its grip." Most people live tightly gripping what they cannot control. Relationships, careers, success, reputation. The tighter the grip, the greater the fear. But life is unpredictable. No matter how much you plan, change is inevitable. True freedom lies in releasing attachment to outcomes. This doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting the natural flow of life instead of resisting it. Try this simple ritual. Write down a fear that has been consuming you. Fear of failure, rejection, uncertainty. In a safe space, burn the paper. Watch as the flames consume the words. This act is a symbol of release. As the paper turns to ash, remind yourself, fear only exists because I feed it. I choose to let it go. Now ask yourself, what fuel are you feeding your fears? What could you create if you weren't bound by the fear of failure? Comment below. And remember, without fuel, your fear cannot burn. Release it and set yourself free. 6. The bridge between cliffs. Courage through action. A traveler stands at the edge of a vast canyon. On the other side lies everything they've ever wanted: freedom, love, success, peace. But between them and their dreams is a fragile, swaying bridge. The wind howls. The wooden planks creak. Fear grips their heart. What if I fall? What if the bridge collapses? What if I don't make it? Paralyzed, the traveler hesitates, stuck between where they are and where they want to be. This is how fear controls us. It whispers that uncertainty is dangerous, that the unknown should be avoided. Fear says, stay where it's safe. Don't risk it. But here's the truth. Wow, the bridge is only terrifying because you haven't stepped onto it. The moment you take that first step, fear begins to weaken. Each step forward diminishes its hold, until one day you look back and wonder why you were ever afraid. A Zen proverb teaches, the way to overcome fear is to act as if you are not afraid. Courage doesn't precede action. It follows it. Many people wait for courage to arrive before taking the leap. They think, once I feel brave, I'll start. But courage is not something you wait for. It's something you create by moving forward despite fear. Think about a moment in your life when you faced something that once terrified you. Maybe it was giving a speech, starting a new job, or moving to a different city. At first, the fear felt overwhelming. But once you acted, the fear dissolved. What seemed impossible became normal. That's the nature of fear. It only holds power when you avoid it. The moment you confront it, it begins to fade. Today, take one step onto your bridge. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It could be starting a conversation you've been avoiding, trying something outside your comfort zone, or making a decision you've delayed. Each step builds momentum, and soon, fear will no longer have control over you. What step have you been avoiding because of fear? How would your life change if you crossed that bridge today? Comment below, and remember, fear doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. Take the step. The bridge will hold. Bonus lesson: the echo in the valley. Interconnectedness. A traveler steps into a deep, silent valley and cries out their fears. I am not enough. The words echo back. I am not enough. Not enough. Not enough. Fear often feels like this, loud, relentless, and all-consuming. But then the traveler changes their approach. They whisper, I am learning. The valley responds, I am learning, learning, learning. Fear is not a solitary burden. It's an echo of the collective human experience. The doubts you carry, the insecurities you face, the struggles that weigh you down, these are not yours alone. Someone, somewhere, is battling the same fears. You are not alone. And when you realize this, fear shifts from being a prison to a bridge that connects you to others through shared humanity. The Buddha taught, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. But how often do you show yourself the compassion you so freely offer others? Many people respond to fear with self-criticism. They tell themselves, I shouldn't feel this way. I should be stronger. Why am I like this? What if, instead of rejecting your fear, you sat with it? What if you treated it like a scared child, gently with kindness? A monk once told his student, when you reject your fear, it grows. When you embrace it, it transforms. This is the paradox of fear. The more you resist it, the more powerful it becomes. The moment you approach it with acceptance and love, it begins to soften. Fear is not the enemy. It's a part of you asking to be understood. And when you extend compassion to yourself, it creates a ripple effect. The love you show yourself inspires others to do the same. Your courage to face your fears becomes a beacon of hope for someone else. Think about the last time someone shared their vulnerability with you. Maybe a friend opened up about a struggle, and it made you feel less alone. Or perhaps someone admitted their fears, and it gave you permission to confront your own. This is the power of interconnectedness. Fear isolates, but vulnerability brings us together. When you share your journey, you become a light in someone else's darkness. Today, reflect on this. How would your fear change if you knew it echoed in 1,000 others? What if, by embracing your fear, you weren't just healing yourself, you were healing the world? Comment below, and remember, the echoes you send out matter. Let them carry courage. Let them carry love. Quick summary of the 6 lessons. 1. See the illusion of fear. Fear is a construct of the mind, not reality. Observe it with mindfulness, and it loses its grip. 2nd, challenge unhelpful thoughts. Fear thrives on distorted narratives. Question them, replace them with clarity, and free yourself from their hold. 3rd, embrace imperfect action. Stop waiting for perfection. Progress, not flawlessness, is the path to true freedom. 4. Understand the root of suffering. Suffering arises from attachment. By releasing your grip on outcomes, you create space for peace and resilience. 5. Nurture yourself with fierce compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend. Self-compassion builds the foundation for courage. 6. Release the need to control outcomes. Focus on effort rather than results. trust the flow of life, and anxiety will begin to fade. Fear is not the enemy. It is the teacher. It reveals where you're holding on too tightly, where you're resisting, and where you're ready to grow. The Buddha reminds us, freedom isn't found in avoiding fear, but in facing it with an open heart and clear eyes. Zen philosophy teaches the obstacle is the path, but every fear, every doubt, every discomfort is not a detour. It's the way forward. You don't need to fight fear. You simply need to stop feeding it. When you release the stories, the what-ifs, and the illusion of control, you step into a life of radical freedom. You are the sky. Everything else is just the weather. So, take a deep breath, look fear in the eye, and remember, you are not your fears. You are the awareness behind them. If this resonated with you, please like this post and share it with someone who needs this message. Comment below. Which lesson shifted your perspective the most? And don't forget to subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more life-changing insights rooted in Buddhist philosophy. Together, we can build a life of peace, purpose, and fearless living.